Imagine walking through the aisles of your local grocery store and feeling absolutely no pull toward the sugary snacks or ultra-processed foods that used to dominate your attention. For many people, this sounds like an impossible level of willpower that only the most disciplined individuals could possess. However, for millions of people currently using a new class of medications, this experience is becoming a consistent biological reality in their everyday lives. Over the last 5 years, GLP-1 medications like Ozempic and Wegovy have surged in global use for their significant role in supporting weight loss. While the headlines often focus on the dramatic physical transformations, the scientific community is now looking at something much deeper. They are looking at how these drugs are fundamentally altering the biological choices we make at the point of sale in our supermarkets. Today, we are going to dive into a massive new study that analyzed nearly 2 million individual food purchases to answer a critical question about human behavior. We will explore the data behind how these medications actually change what people decide to put in their shopping carts. If you want to understand the real science behind the silencing of food noise and the shift in daily habits, pay very close attention to the details of this groundbreaking research. To truly understand the scale of this behavioral shift, we first have to look at the complex biology that makes it possible within the human body. GLP-1 medications do not just stop hunger in a simple physical sense. Instead, they work by mimicking a naturally occurring gut hormone called GLP-1, which acts directly on the brain to regulate both appetite and blood sugar levels. This unique hormonal mimicry does more than just make a person feel full faster during a meal. It has a profound and life-changing effect on what researchers and patients call food noise. Food noise is that persistent and often intrusive internal monologue that drives us towards specific cravings, especially for indulgent or sugary foods after a long day. Someone who once felt an uncontrollable biological pull to reach for something sugary or starchy after dinner may find that, while on these medications, that mental pull simply vanishes. The constant mental chatter and the intense cravings for snacks are quieted, allowing for a level of dietary control that many individuals have never experienced in their lives. Researchers wanted to see if this perceived change in behavior would finally show up in hard data, specifically in the literal receipts and grocery carts of thousands of people over several years. This curiosity led to a massive and highly detailed study recently published in the prestigious journal JAMA Network Open. The goal of this research was to move beyond self-reported stories and look at actual per-purchasing data to see if starting a GLP-1 medication truly changes the types of foods people buy for their homes. The researchers were not just interested in the total volume of food. They focused specifically on the nutritional quality of the items being added to the shopping cart. To get an accurate picture, the research team analyzed the purchasing data from 1,177 adults located in Denmark. This group included nearly 300 individuals who had just started a GLP-1 medication and a control group of 88 individuals who had not started any medication. Using detailed receipt data collected between the years 2019 and 2022, the team was able to track exactly what these people were buying in the full year before and after starting the medication. In total, this research analyzed nearly 2 million individual food purchases. When the researchers analyzed this mountain of data, they discovered that the grocery carts of those on GLP-1 medications did indeed start to look a little different. On average, the foods purchased by the group taking the medication were slightly lower in total calories, total sugar, and total carbohydrates. They also observed a consistent decrease in the amount of saturated fat being added to the shopping carts after the medication began. Most significantly, the data showed a clear shift toward purchasing more protein-rich foods and a movement away from ultra-processed food products. Instead, these individuals were reaching for more minimally processed options. This suggests that the medication is actually influencing the nutritional quality of the choices being made at the store every week. It appears that when the brain is no longer bombarded by intense cravings for junk food, it naturally begins to select better fuel for the body. The most compelling part of this study is the side-by-side comparison with the group that did not start the medication. While the people taking GLP-1s were making healthier shifts in their purchasing habits, the individuals in the control group actually shifted in the opposite direction during that same time period. The people who were not taking the medication started to choose foods with slightly more sugar and more total calories over those same 3 years. This side-by-side comparison is vital from a scientific and statistical perspective because it makes it much more likely that the improvements seen in the GLP-1 group were directly caused by the medication itself. This data highlights that the medication is creating a distinct biological divergence in how people relate to the daily food choices they make for themselves. However, the researchers were very careful to provide a realistic context for these results, describing the changes as modest but meaningful. For example, the results showed a decrease of approximately 2.1 calories and 0.6 grams of sugar for every 100 grams of food purchased. On its own, this is not the same as someone completely eliminating every dessert from their life in an instant. Instead, what we are seeing is a pattern of smaller and more repeated healthy purchases. This indicates a shift toward choosing whole grain bread instead of white bread or selecting a slightly leaner protein option for dinner. These small, consistent biological choices add up over thousands of purchases to create a significant shift in the overall health profile of an individual. These findings from the Danish study align perfectly with previous research regarding how these medications specifically affect preferences. A randomized controlled trial conducted in 2017 found that a weekly dose of semaglutide led to a 24% reduction in total daily energy intake. That earlier study also noted less hunger and a much lower overall preference for high-fat foods. Even more recent research from the year 2025 has supported this, showing that oral versions of the medication are associated with decreased cravings for sweets and chocolate. In those modern studies, carbohydrates showed the largest decrease among all the nutrients. All of this formal research provides a solid scientific backbone to what many people have been reporting lately. The biology of the gut-brain axis is finally being documented with precision, showing a decreased pull toward the indulgent foods that dominate the modern diet. This research matters because it shows that GLP-1s can be a massive help in reshaping habits, but it also highlights the importance of making mindful lifestyle choices. Because these medications suppress the appetite so effectively, it can actually become easy for a person to accidentally fall short on critical nutrients like protein and fiber. This is why practitioners suggest that while using these medications, it is vital to prioritize nutrient-dense foods. Focusing on things like beans, lentils, eggs, and whole grains becomes essential to ensure that you are maintaining muscle mass while your total volume of food intake decreases. Managing side effects like mild nausea through small and frequent meals can also help keep the body fueled without overwhelming the system during the early stages of treatment. GLP-1 medications are absolutely shifting the way people buy and eat food. And according to this massive data set, that shift is moving in a very positive direction for public health. We are seeing a historic change in human behavior that could have lasting effects on the entire food industry. If you are interested in staying on the cutting edge of health science and understanding how these major breakthroughs will affect our collective future, then you have come to the right place. We spend a lot of time analyzing medical journals so that you can have the hard facts. To make sure you never miss another deep dive into the research that matters most for your health, click that subscribe button right now. By joining this community, you are choosing to stay informed about the latest shifts in human biology. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you noticed a change in your own food preferences lately? Thank you for watching and for being part of this journey into the science of human potential. I will see you in the next video. Stay curious, stay healthy, and keep making every bite count.